Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lucy and in today's video I am sharing with you all the most addictive romantasy books I've read. Now interestingly, it is the ones I've read most recently, I would say, that make up the bulk of this video. And that's because I do feel like I've been in a bit of a romantasy reading slump. I read a lot of romantasy. If you're new here, my videos are either romantasy themed or writing themed at the minute, so I do read a lot of romantasy, and I do find quite a lot of the romantasy I'm reading at the minute quite boring. So I wanted to make a video about all the fast-paced, the books you can read in one sitting, like the books I could not put down in the romantasy genre, to share with you all, because I think that's like the thing that we want out of our romantasy books, right? We want those books that are so impossible to put down, that kind of distract us from like real life. I feel like we all love that when we're just in the zone, in the flow, and reading a really good romantasy book. So I have about 6 books for you today. 3 are kind of more recent, 3 are slightly older romantasy books that I just have to mention because, you know, they do fit this description of the most addictive romantasy books I've read. So before we do crack on with the video, if you are new here, welcome to my channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and stick around. There'll be lots more videos like this to come. Okay, so let's kick off with a series that I am in the middle of. I binge read the first 2 books back to back and I have not been so obsessed with the series in a long time. The first book that I want to recommend is Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole. This is book 1 in the Kindred Curse saga, I think it's called. Yeah, Kindred Curse. And bear in mind, the books in this series really span from anywhere between 400 and 600 pages. Like, these are quite chunky books, which I do feel is quite standard for the romantasy genre. Like, romantasy loves a chunky book, which if you have been watching my channel for a little while, you know that I do not love a chunky book. However, I started reading Spark of the Everflame and it did not feel like a chunky romantasy book. If anything, it was so fast-paced, and even though I had some gripes with it, like I'll go into, I just couldn't put it down. So let me tell you a little bit what the Kindred Curse saga is about. So this follows DM Bellator, who is living in this city called the Mortal City, in this kind of kingdom where there is a class divide between the mortal people with no magic, of which DM grows up in and is of that kind of like mortal class. But then on the other side of the city walls, living in grand palaces and beautiful houses, are the Descended. And the Descended are kind of like magical god, like kind of demigod type people, where essentially they are the descended from the gods who founded these realms. So there are lots of different realms, but we're really focused on the realm of Lumnos or Lumos, I can't remember what it's actually called. But the realm that like our main character DM is living in is the realm of light and shadow. So the kind of Descended, the magical class, their magic is all shadow based, it's all light based, and they can do fun things with like light and shadow. It's really cool. But DM grows up kind of like hating these people because they repress the mortals and they treat them as second-class citizens. They are kind of forced to stay in an area of this realm where they are basically like the slums, essentially. So DM is a healer, and the story kind of kicks off where her mother, who is one of the palace healers, so she goes and actually is a healer to the Descended. She's kind of embroiled in their world, so is missing. And that's kind of the crux of the whole novel, is like, where is DM's mother? Like, you kind of learn that she's involved in a lot of the Descended kind of culture. There is also a rebellion rising up within the mortals, and they kind of want to overthrow the Descended and, you know, kind of create more opportunities for the mortals, but they really believe in bloodshed to do this. And this is where DM is kind of split. So she meets somebody called Luther, who is the prince of the Descended, and he's kind of the next in line. The king's very old, he's very ill, he's on death's door, and DM kind of instates herself as the replacement palace healer because obviously her mum goes missing. She grows closer to Prince Luther, and it's there she kind of realizes that actually there are certain things of her own kind of upbringing that don't quite makes sense. For example, she has to always take this powder that kind of like is supposed to repress these visions she's had. Her mum has told her from the get-go, you have to take this powder every day. And of course, like, I'm not gonna majorly spoil anything, but I think we know where this is headed. You know, there are certain question marks around her lineage, and maybe she's not as mortal as she thinks she is. And that comes very, very clear at the end of the first book. The second book, I'm not going to go into too much detail about because it will completely spoil what happens in book one, but let's just say it's full of political intrigue. It kind of reminds me of like House of the Dragon style, like all of these different houses with different kind of like influences, and you know, DM really has to charm all of these different people in power in the second book. I'm not going to go into why, but it's really, really fascinating. Bear in mind, these are big chunky books. I raced through these books. It's also worth saying, even though these are romantasy, I would say they're not very spicy. DM does have a relationship with a mortal boy who is her childhood best friend in the first and second books, and there is growing romantic tension with Luther, who that really comes to a head in book two. And I wouldn't say it's like on the page very spicy yet. I think book three probably will be, because like we've been on a journey, guys. So that's why I'm really excited to read book three. It's like to see more of that romantic culmination between DM and Luther, who have been set up from the very beginning. And yeah, I'm very excited to read that book. However, books one and two, I wouldn't say are like majorly romantic. And I think if you're going into this series looking for like loads of on the page spice, it's not that type of romantasy series. Like, it is very slow burn, which you would think would drive the pacing down, but it really doesn't. Like, there's action on every page. I really would recommend this, and I was so addicted by these first two books, which is very unlike me for very big fantasy books. So really would recommend. I cannot wait to read book three in the series, and I will let you guys know my thoughts when I manage to finish the series here. Okay, let's move swiftly on to the next romantasy book that I raced through. It was so addictive, I could not put it down. It was all I thought about. This is Quicksilver by Callie Hart. So this book is amazing. It is another huge fantasy book, but it really doesn't compromise in terms of pace. So it was so addictive. I raced through the pages. I think believe the hype around Quicksilver. I really, really loved it. So this is book one in the Fae and Alchemy series. Book two, Brimstone, is coming out this autumn, and I am so excited for that book, guys. Like, it's, yeah, already pre-ordered, so very on my radar. So book one, Quicksilver, follows Cyrus, who kind of like, you know, the Kindred Curse saga, like there is a class divide. So she is living in the kind of like slums essentially, and this city that really represses the kind of second-class citizens, and the land is kind of ruled by this queen who is very corrupt. And when Cyrus basically gets on the wrong side of the law, she is held captive by the queen, and she sees this mysterious sword. She accidentally opens this gate, and when she opens this gate, she sees what she describes as Death himself, who is this like very formidable, very handsome guy who kind of like comes out of the gate and then takes her back to his realm. You then find out that this is the realm of the Fae, because of course it is. It's a fantasy romance book. There has to be Fae. And Cyrus in her hometown has heard a lot about the Fae. They kind of reached this point where Fae have just kind of become a myth, but actually she learns that all the stories that she was told as a child are true. There are Fae, and it reveals this centuries-long war with the Fae and the kind of like human realm. And this kind of like figure who stepped out of this gate and has brought her back to the Fae realm is called Kingfisher, and he needs Cyrus because Cyrus has this set of skills in alchemy. So in order to kind of like forge a weapon, essentially, if I'm remembering this right, he basically needs something from her. They enter into a bargain, which reveals itself much later in the book to have more damning consequences. And let's just say the romance is impeccable, like so good, guys. Oh, so good. I actually may need a reread, it's that good. And the pace is brilliant. Like, there's always something happening. I think like it's really well plotted. It doesn't ever feel too long or too slow. So I really would recommend Quicksilver. I think the series is only just beginning, and I'm hoping there'll be loads more books in the series, because like there is so much to unpack. There's like loads of different countries and creatures in this realm as well. So there's like Fae. I don't know if it's a spoiler to say there are kind of vampires as well, but there are, and I really would recommend the series. I think I gave this 4 stars or 5 stars, but I raced through Quicksilver. It was so addictive, really would recommend. The next addictive romantasy I really want to recommend is Fantasma by Kaylee Smith. Now this is really fun and quite different. So I believe this is set in New Orleans. So this follows Ophelia, whose mother has died, and her mother was like this head witch, I guess. And I believe she's like some form of necromancer, maybe, like she can see the dead. And her mother dying leaves Ophelia and her sister Genevieve completely alone and in financial trouble as well. Like their mother has left them with a lot of debt, essentially. So when Ophelia's sister Genevieve goes missing, Ophelia believes that she has gone to join this kind of like mysterious game called Fantasma. And Fantasma has popped up in their city and is at this like old creepy house. And the kind of idea is if you win Fantasma, you get like a kind of wish of your choice. Now there are other layers to this, like you kind of have question marks over their father, like who their father was, and you start to kind of understand a little bit more about that, and maybe that's what led, you know, Genevieve to Fantasma, etc. So that's kind of something in it as well. But because obviously Ophelia can see ghosts, she decides to enter Fantasma in order to find her sister. And that's when she meets Blackwell, who she believes is a spirit who agrees to kind of help her win Fantasma and get to find Genevieve, essentially. So they kind of strike this little bargain, and Blackwell will essentially help her with different trials in these games. Now, each trial is set around the different layers of hell, and this game is run by devils. So this is like such an intricate world. So it's kind of like a locked room game, like trial situation, but then you've got these devils who create their own bargains and have their own like deals that they offer Ophelia. You've got Blackwell, who is this ghost, and he asks Ophelia to help him find out like where he's come from and release him, essentially, because he is bound to the walls of this house and to Fantasma. There's just so many layers to it, and the romance, I have to mention the romance. This is obviously a romantasy book. So there is a romance between Blackwell and Ophelia, and it is so good. Like, yeah, I really, really love the romance. Loads of twists and turns along the way. There is a second book as well called Enchantra, which follows Genevieve's story, so Ophelia's sister. And yeah, I think it's also like based on a kind of game as well, which is really fun. But I raced through this book. I think like there's not been enough hype about this book. I really would recommend it. It was so pacey, it was really addictive, and I would really recommend. Okay, so this is where I'm gonna go into books that aren't kind of semi-recent, really. The first one being Kingdom of the Wicked by Kerri Maniscalco. I've talked about this series quite a lot on my channel, but I just wanted to include it in this video because, oh my gosh, is this series addictive. This is YA romantasy. Well, it starts off YA, guys, and then it gets saucy. It basically ages up the further into the series you get. So Kingdom of the Wicked is set in kind of like a historic Italy. It follows Amelia, whose sister has been murdered. And this is essentially a murder mystery because Amelia wants to go and find who did this to her sister. So Amelia and Vittoria, her sister, are witches, and they kind of blend in with humans and everything, but they come from a whole family of witches. And from the get-go, their grandmother always says, do not ever make a deal with one of the 7 princes of hell, because that will be your downfall, essentially. Like, witches and the devils, the kind of demons, are enemies and will always be enemies, and they will always try to kill you. So from an early age, Amelia and Vittoria are warned about that. But when Amelia finds Vittoria's body, there is nowhere else to turn to but summoning one of the 7 princes of hell called Wrath. Love him. Anyway, she makes a bargain with him in order to help her find out who murdered her sister. And there is a lot more going on because there are a series of murders of witches happening across their region, and this is obviously a larger thing. This is a larger issue. So Amelia and Wrath forge this kind of bargain where they're helping each other essentially find the solution to this mystery. And the romantic tension is excellent. The witchy vibes, the kind of like spooky, kind of eerie vibes are there as well. This is quite a short book, the first one. It's like, I'd say around 350, 400 pages. But then as the books progress, so there's Kingdom of the Cursed and Kingdom of the Fallen, I believe. Those books become adult. So they become a lot more spicy and kind of fit the more traditional conventions of a romantasy book, where there is on-page spice and yeah, they just get more adult, essentially. Kingdom of the Wicked's a bit more tame. And the rest of the series, guys, oh, it's so good. I would really recommend. I think the third book goes a little crazy, but like it all makes sense in the context of the world. These are so addictive. When I tell you, like, I couldn't stop thinking about the characters and their romance, Wrath and Amelia, like, oh, it's such a good pairing. I really would recommend this if you just want like an escapist, like dark, witchy, demonic romance. It's so good. So I really would recommend that series for an addictive romantasy book. Then the final two books I really want to recommend are both by the same author, and this author is Carissa Broadbent, who I adore. Really love her books. The two books though are kind of not in the conventional series that you'll probably know her for. So you will probably know Carissa Broadbent for the Serpent and the Wings of Night series, the Crowns of Neaxia series. And that series is kind of ongoing, featuring different characters, which I haven't started reading yet, but I really do want to. But I want to talk about Six Scorched Roses and Slaying the Vampire Conqueror. So Six Scorched Roses is a novella, which I think is in the same world. It's in the Crowns of Neaxia universe. So this is related, I believe, to The Serpent and the Wings of Night and those books. And this is incredible, so addictive. I raced through this novella. I think the fact that it is on the shorter side just makes it so pacey and so unique. And this basically follows a woman who is trying to tackle a plague in her village. And the only way that she can solve the cause of this plague, of which I believe her brother has succumbed to, so like it's killing people in her village, is to approach a local vampire who basically keeps himself to himself, and people do not see him. Like, he lives kind of an isolated life. She has to go to him, and he agrees that if she brings him a rose every day, I believe, he will help her find a cure for this plague. And that is basically vials of his blood, because vampire blood has magical qualities. And they forge this kind of alliance, this like beautiful friendship, this companionship that obviously blooms into something more meaningful and romantic. It is just stunning, and oh, I just really love this story. I was so engrossed. I was really surprised by how good this was. I think I rated this 5 stars, so I really would recommend this novella, Six Scorched Roses. Incredible. Slaying the Vampire Conqueror is a full-length novel. This is about a woman who is kind of like a warrior nun. She's really cool. She's like an assassin nun. She can't see. So in kind of like service to her goddess, she has forsaken her eyesight. Like, the goddess has taken her eyesight, but has enhanced her other senses. Like, so she is like a killing machine. She can kind of sense threads, which is how she sees. So she kind of can see, but it's like not through her eyes, if that makes sense. Then when her order of assassin nuns essentially hears that there is a vampire sweeping through their lands, pillaging, like destroying, like murdering people, you know, our main character is asked to tackle this problem. And so she goes to this vampire and tries to pose as an oracle, like kind of a fortune teller, who will tell him how to defeat the kind of human population and how to kind of like conquer this land. They forge a understanding along the way, and our main character constantly has to battle against, like, she needs to kill this vampire who is conquering their land, but at the same time she understands why, and she understands that maybe like he isn't as bad as she had believed he was. She is obviously under the order of her goddess and of her kind of like higher figure who is like commanding their order. She's under orders to kill him, but then of course she has to like wrestle with like her heart, her growing emotions for him. This is like really beautiful. Like, it's just like a really emotional kind of beautiful love story. There is on-page spice in both this book and Six Scorched Roses if you're after that, but the romances generally are just like really well crafted and very kind of layered. And I raced through this book as well. Like, I couldn't put it down. So I really would recommend these 2 books by Carissa Broadbent. Like, she is such a talent in the romantasy genre and writes really addictive romances. So I really would recommend her books. Anyway guys, that's all I have time for today. I really hope you'll leave some recommendations for addictive romantasy down in the comments below. I didn't want to mention like Fourth Wing and ACOTAR, mainly just because everyone's probably read those already. If you're clicking on this video and you haven't read those books, of course check them out. Like, ACOTAR, Sarah J Maas universe, writes the most addictive romantasy books out there. Fourth Wing, the first book, hella addictive, could not put it down. I have my issues with the next 2 books in the series, so that's why I didn't really want to talk about Fourth Wing. And I just feel like everyone's heard about it, it's probably sick of everyone recommending it. So I wanted to provide different recommendations today, and I hope that you find one of these books, you know, to your taste, and I really hope you pick one of these books up. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, why not click that subscribe button? It means the world if you'd be joining my lovely community here on YouTube. I'm also on TikTok, I'm on Instagram at BookBellReads, where I just post fun lifestyle stuff, book recommendations, but I'm also an agented author working on my debut novel, so I'll be posting a lot of writing content as well. That debut novel is also a romantasy book, so it's all very linked. If you like romantasy books, you probably will like the book I'm writing, so stay tuned for more information on that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon in my next video, guys. Bye!